Hey guys, and welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. Today we'll be talking about the 2024 United States Senate elections and my predictions. Now, before we begin, going back into 2022, we know that Democrats had a 50-50 Senate majority, and after 2022, they expanded their Senate majority by one seat, now holding 51 Senate seats. Um, we could also say that 2022 was an upset, meaning that the Republican Party should have done considerably well, taking the Senate majority and holding on to many governor's seats and having a larger House majority than they currently do. Um, Looking at the 2024 Senate map, we can already tell it's not favorable to Democrats as they have competitive seats in Montana, Ohio, and West Virginia. These three seats Democrats are trying to hold, and these three states were won by Donald Trump by pretty solid margins. 16 points in Montana, 8 points in Ohio, and about 38 points in West Virginia. There are also other seats that could be played. Independent Senator Kirsten Sinema, who is a former Democrat, is racing to hold on to her seat in Arizona. This is a state that Trump lost by about 11,000 votes. There's Jackie Rosen in Nevada. And then, of course, you got Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin with Tammy Baldwin, Pennsylvania with Bob Casey, and in Michigan, Debbie Stabenow is retiring, so this is now an open seat. We could also consider Virginia, maybe, with Senator Tim Kaine, but he's relatively popular. We don't know if current Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin may run for this seat, but Virginia may go for Tim Kaine. So, after examining this, we can conclude that the Senate election may not be favorable to Democrats, as Republicans um, only hold a few seats in this election, namely in Utah, Wyoming, North Dakota, Nebraska's regular, Nebraska's special election, Texas, Missouri, Indiana. Mike Braun is retiring. Indiana is the open seat so far, the only open seat to be vacated by Republicans so far. Tennessee with Marsha Blackburn, Mississippi with Roger Wicker, and Rick Scott with the state of Florida. So as we see, the two best targets for Democrats would be the state of Texas and the state of Florida. Mainly Texas because Ted Cruz only won by 2.6%. Beto O'Rourke almost pulled him in 6 years ago, 5 years ago, but we'll see. We'll see because Texas Democratic Congressman Colin Allred launched his bid against Senator Ted Cruz, and another but far-reaching opportunity Democrats may have would be the state of Florida. Rick Scott. 5 years ago, Rick Scott defeated then Senator Bill Nelson by about 10,000 votes in the state of Florida with very, very narrow margin. But given in 2022, when Governor Ron DeSantis and Senator Marco Rubio won by 19 and 16 and a half points, respectively, it doesn't look like Florida may be as competitive, as Florida looks to be a solid red state now. But we'll see. Democrats may still try to target Senator Rick Scott, but we'll see. So yeah, these are the only Republican-held Senate seats in 24. All the others are being held by Democrats. So before we begin talking about competitive states, let's go on to fill the safe states. Washington with Marie Campbell. It doesn't look like she'll be facing a tough re-election, as Washington is a blue state and she seems to be popular. California Senator um, Dianne Feinstein looks to be retiring, but California is a blue state, so it doesn't look like Republicans will have opportunities in this state. Um, the next solid state I like to go to is Minnesota. Minnesota tends to be a bit competitive in federal and other elections. But Senator Amy Klobuchar is a popular senator with Minnesotan voters, and it doesn't look like she'll be losing that momentum next year. So Minnesota will be a solid blue state this time. A few other solid blue states I'd like to incorporate: New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Delaware, and Maryland. Both Delaware and Maryland are open seats right now. Even namely in Maryland, it's the open seat. There were some rumors that former Republican Governor Larry Hogan would run, but he is not running. Instead, Congressman David Trone is running for this open seat, and it looks like it's definitely going to be heading his way. So there's that. Vermont and Maine. Uh, Both of these are independent senators caucusing with the Democratic Party. Vermont with Bernie Sanders and Maine with Angus King. But they're pretty popular in their states, and it looks like they won't be facing a harsh reelection bid. So and oh, of course, there's Hawaii. There's no explanation for Hawaii. It's a solid blue state. So that's that. And on the Republican side, got quite a lot of solid states. Utah with Mitt Romney, and then there's Wyoming, North Dakota, both the Nebraskas. These don't need any explanations. Mississippi, Tennessee, Missouri, even Indiana. I will have it as a solid, as Indiana is heavily going to the right now. And also, I will be giving the Republican Party West Virginia because incumbent Democratic Senator Joe Manchin has yet to announce his reelection bid, and he is not that popular amongst West Virginia voters because he was voting with President Joe Biden with some bills, so he's not very popular in West Virginia, and West Virginia is a heavy conservative state, voting for President Trump by 38 points. And also, there are already two high-profile GOP candidates running for Joe Manchin's seat, notably Alex Mooney, Congressman Alex Mooney, and popular Governor Jim Justice of West Virginia, who served both as a Democrat and a Republican. So I don't see West Virginia going to the Democratic Party this time. Um, it looks like it will be going Joe Manchin's way. Also, in West Virginia, I'd like to say that in 2012, when Joe Manchin ran, he won by 60.6% of the vote. He was popular then. This was then Senator Robert Byrd's seat. But coming down to 2018, he only won by a plurality. So it doesn't look like he will be um, having luck this round in 2024. So that's why I'm characterizing West Virginia as a solid red state. Now, going on to likely Democratic states, I'd like to start the obvious: New Jersey. Um, there's no hard explanation in New Jersey. New Jersey's New Jersey. Yes, it voted for then Governor Phil Murphy in 2021 by a lean margin, but it doesn't look like it will be going that way as New Jersey voted pretty blue in the 2022 elections, and yeah, there's nothing much to say about New Jersey. Next, I'll be characterizing Virginia as a likely blue state, regardless of whether Governor Youngkin runs for the seat. Tim Kaine is very popular in Virginia, and I don't see that changing. So Virginia will be going likely blue. Next, I'd like to say the state of New Mexico with Senator Martin Heinrich. Um, he did win his reelection by a pretty solid margin. Um, yeah, he won his reelection in 2018 by a pretty solid margin, 14 points. Pretty good for New Mexico. But recently in 2022, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham won by about 6 points. So it looks like his margin will be shortened just a bit, but it's New Mexico with a popular senator, so that's that. One more likely blue state I'd like to characterize is Pennsylvania. Bob Casey Jr. He won his re-election by 13 points. Yeah, he's very popular in the state of Pennsylvania, more popular than Senator John Fetterman, who he himself won by 5 points in 2022, and it looks like Pennsylvania will vote for Bob Casey by a pretty decent margin. So that's that. Next, likely Republican states. First, I'll start off with the state of Florida. Rick Scott did win by only 10,000 votes 5 years ago, defeating then Senator Bill Nelson. But looks like after Florida's high Republican victories, it looks like Rick Scott will continue on that path. Maybe he'll win by 15 point plus, but as of right now, it will be a double digit likely margin. Next, I will do Texas with Ted Cruz. Um, in 2022, Texas voted for Greg Abbott by about 11 points. Greg Abbott is pretty popular in the state of Texas. Going on to Ted Cruz, he did win by a lean margin, 2.6% in 2018, just narrowly defeating Beto O'Rourke. But then Beto O'Rourke went on to lose to Greg Abbott by 11 points, so it looks like he's losing his thing in Texas. So Ted Cruz will continue to win in Texas, but Texas won't be as narrow as Democrats think. I don't think Democrats will be winning Texas anytime soon. But yes, Ted Cruz will win by a likely margin. Maybe Texas will vote to the left of Florida, but it looks like Ted Cruz will win by a pretty decent margin in the state of Texas. Now we'll be going on to lead states. First, I'll start with Nevada. Nevada in 2022 voted then Governor Steve Sisolak out of office and replaced him with Republican Governor Joe Lombardo, who did defeat Steve Sisolak by 1.5%. But yet, Nevada chose Catherine Cortez Masto over Adam Laxalt by a pretty small margin, about 7,000 votes. That was. And Jackie Rosen seems to be more popular than Catherine Cortez Masto, so it looks like Jackie Rosen will win by a lean margin in Nevada. The next lean state I'll characterize as Wisconsin. Wisconsin in 2022 voted for Tony Evers more than it voted for Senator Ron Johnson, and Tammy Baldwin has a much higher approval rating than Senator Ron Johnson. So it looks like she'll go on to win her re-election by a lean margin in Wisconsin. And in 2018, she won her re-election by 10 points. It doesn't look like it will go that way this time for her, but I think she will, as of right now, she'll win re-election in Wisconsin by a lean margin. Next, this seat is going to be a heavy battleground because it's an open seat. Michigan, I think, will go to the Democrats by a lean margin. Debbie Stabenow is retiring, but we have Congresswoman Elissa Stockton running for her open seat, and Republicans have struggled to get good candidates in Michigan. In 2022, Gretchen Whitmer won by about 10.5 points against Tudor Dixon. So it doesn't look like Michigan will be going red in the Senate election, so it looks like Elissa Stockton, if she were the nominee, would win by a lead margin. Okay. Now we are coming down to the final three states of Ohio, Montana, and Arizona. These three states may decide which way the Senate may go. As of my forecast, Republicans, if they had the vice presidency, they'd hold on to a majority. If not, they'd need one more seat to win the Senate. Democrats currently have 47, according to my prediction. So first, let's go on to the state of Ohio. We have incumbent Senator Sherrod Brown, who launched his re-election bid. And it looks like in the Republican primary, we have a few candidates here, namely Matt Dolan, who ran in 2022 but lost a primary to Senator J.D. Vance, and he is running to unseat Senator Sherrod Brown and replace him as Class 1 Ohio Senator. And we got another candidate, Frank LaRose, who's the Ohio Secretary of State. He may launch his bid against Sherrod Brown, and he'd have to face Matt Dolan in the primary. But whoever the candidate is, Ohio is a notably red state, voting for President Trump by 8 points in 2020, and then reelecting Mike DeWine by 25 points, then electing J.D. Vance by 6 points. So it looks like Ohio will continue on its rightward trend. So I will be characterizing Ohio as lean Republican. I don't think Sherrod Brown will be as lucky this election cycle as he was last time. In 2012, we see he won by about 6 points. And then in 2018, he won again by about 6 points when he was expected to win by about 10 or 12, because 2018 was an environment that was more fond toward the Democratic Party. But even so, Sherrod Brown didn't come to expectations. He won by only 6 points then. So it looks like his luck ran out. And Ohio, I will characterize as of right now as lean Republican state. So as of right now, I don't think Sherrod Brown will win his reelection. Next, we will move on to the state of Montana, where we have incumbent Senator Jon Tester running for his reelection. Looking back into 2018, Jon Tester defeated now Congressman Matt Rosendale by a good margin, about 3 points or so. But the thing about this election, about Jon Tester, compared to his other senators, he actually did better compared to 2012. In 2012, he only won 48.6% of the vote, but now he won a majority of the vote. So we can see Jon Tester is pretty popular in Montana. But the thing is, he won in 2018 because of the popularity of Montanans, and because it was 2018 of heavily Democratic funded environment. So I think in 2024, as this is also a presidential election year, that I don't think he will have that sort of luck to win his election in Montana, given that in the 2024 election, Montana will vote Republican by a pretty significant margin. So I don't think Jon Tester will have that kind of luck anymore. So as of right now, I'm going to characterize Montana as a lean Republican. The last state we will be talking about is the unique Senate race in Arizona, where then Democratic Senator Kristen Sinema left the Democratic Party and now is serving as an independent. And it looks like she will be running for her reelection as well. She will be running as an independent. Now, the reason I say Arizona Senate race will be the most um, will be the most interesting race is because Arizona is a straight up battleground state, and we will be looking at a three-party race: independent, Democratic, and Republican. So we can see Kirsten Sinema will probably run for her reelection as an independent. Looking at the Democratic Party, we see one notable person running, which is Congressman Ruben Gallego from Arizona's third congressional district. And looking at the Republican Party, we have Mark Lamb, who's a Pinal County sheriff, and probably then gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake will run for Kirsten Sinema's Arizona seat. Um, but if Kirsten Sinema did not run, if let's say in the hypothetical situation, if Kirsten Sinema did not run and it was Ruben Gallego versus Kari Lake, I would say Ruben Gallego would win by a lean margin, but Kirsten Sinema is probably going to run for her reelection, which will make this a three-party race. If Kirsten Sinema runs, the Democratic vote will be split. And Kirsten Sinema isn't that popular in Arizona, so there may be some of her voters who may vote for Ruben Gallego. There's so many factors in this Arizona Senate race. It is mesmerizing, honestly. But this race, should Kari Lake run, will probably be a Lake versus Gallego versus Cinema race. Um, the thing is, Lake, when she ran, she lost to now Governor Katie Hobbs by 0.67 points, which is about 17,000 votes. And the only two candidates were her and Katie Hobbs. So Kari Lake just narrowly lost her Arizona gubernatorial race. Now, if she were to run, as of right now, I would say that she may just have the edge um, against Congressman Gallego and Senator Sinema. So I will characterize Arizona as tilt Republican, just because of the demographics in this race and the high possibility that the Democratic vote will be split between Kirsten Sinema and Ruben Gallego, and the Arizona Republican voters will vote for Kari Lake, which is the one factor I think would give Republicans an edge in this Arizona Senate race, which is why as of right now I'm characterizing Arizona as tilt Republican. So thank you guys for watching this video. This is my Senate prediction for 24. Republicans holding 53 seats, Democrats 47. I say Republicans would hold on to all their seats while flipping Arizona, Montana, Ohio, and West Virginia, and Democrats holding on to relatively competitive seats in Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Virginia. Thank you guys, and I hope to see you in some future videos. Thank you.